Live stream is on. Hi everyone, this is Shanti. If you're watching the replay, you can fast forward about a couple minutes. I'm going to open up the waiting room and we're going to have a little bit of a casual meet and greet chit chat with the fabulous Mel over here. So yeah, we're in for a good time.
I'm excited to see who comes. I have to say attendance has been pretty consistent and good, and lots of repeat customers in terms of the audience. So that's
yeah, awesome. I've been noticing that too. Hello, welcome everyone.
Hello everybody. Hello. I'm gonna try to say this, and if I'm wrong, please put it in the chat box, because I'm going to challenge myself and step out of my comfort zone and try to say a name. I think it's Yasim or Yasim from Munich.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on one second, Yasim. I'm gonna unmute you. There you go.
If we can, you can unmute yourself for a second, Yasim, so I can hear how you pronounce your name.
My name is Yeshim.
Yeshim. Thank you for that. Yeshim, thank you. I was like making it, I'm bilingual, and my other language is Spanish, so I have a tendency to make everything very Spanish sounding. So Yeshim, so thank you for that. But I've been seeing you a lot, and I'm happy to see you again today on this last session. So we're gonna rock and roll. Thank you. Other people who are here, thank you for being here. I see you. And yeah, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna find out.
It's going to be enriching, I think.
It's going to be enriching.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the hour.
I'm going to start the record button and let's get the show on the road. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Shanti. For those who don't know me, we're here at day 6, the final day in our talk series on trauma's everyday impact. Our session's presenter is Melissa Gutierrez, known as Mel for short, and she will be speaking about trauma and internal chaos. And I'm here to serve up some hospitality and tech. So if you have any support needs with using Zoom, don't hesitate to reach out to me via private message. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. First things first, a very special thanks to those who have the All Access Pass and are here live for contributing to our sustainability and giving us the joy of having humans to interact with. The time that I get to spend with all of you right before the session starts and right after the session ends is, to me, like the best part of this conference. I love hearing your comments and your questions and your curiosities. So definitely keep them coming in the chat and reach out to us. And please turn on your cameras if possible, no matter what you're doing, as it provides useful feedback for presenters. And we don't really care how you look. You could be wearing like a dingy old scrubby clothes, and you could be like having like juice spilling out of your mouth as you like chomp down on an apple, and I would totally embrace that, and I love that. So I want to see that. I feel like that's just like the act of humaning and being alive. So please do it. If you're watching a replay, you can purchase an all-access pass for $19 to get all the recordings. The registration link is in the chat, and I'll put it in for you all again. And for those who have experienced the benefits from this week's summit and are interested to learn more about the topics that we've covered, we offer the Trauma is Your Superpower course. And Mel happens to be one of the teachers, and she's pretty badass, so you don't want to miss out. And there's packages available to fit your needs regardless of who you are. So whether you're somebody like me, just an ordinary person who's hoping to make some changes in your life and in your daily routine, or if you're a coach, facilitator, or therapist who's hoping to apply this work to what you do with your clients. And there are also tutor-led group sessions to help you integrate the knowledge and skills in community, which I find is the best way to learn in a group. Embodiment Unlimited has intentionally made this resource cheaper than its market value because we want to make this as affordable and accessible for as wide an audience as possible, and feasible. If for any reason that's an issue for you, please, I'll put the email for our support team in the chat and reach out to us, because we don't want that to be a barrier for anyone. And I will give you a little tour of the site when we wrap this session, but if you're curious now, you can check out the link in the chat for more details. Finally, those who have been coming regularly this week have heard me say this over and over again, but it bears repeating because it is so very, very important. Especially if you attended the last session, Daniela talked about Zoom fatigue, and it's a very, very real thing, and we're reaching sort of the end of this conference and you might be there. And that's just like the aspect of sort of like being online and in the Zoom room. And then there's the whole, like, we're talking about trauma, folks. So it's always good to do a self-safety check-in before attending one of these sessions or even watching the replay. Questions to ask yourself. First, are you resourced right now? So if you aren't well enough to drive a car, do something super coordinated like operate heavy machinery, then it's a sign that maybe you don't want to watch right now and you might be better off. A wiser choice may be instead to do an act of self-care, whatever feels good to you right now, that will be kinder to yourself. And another question to ask yourself is, are you better served by one-to-one therapy? This platform is for education, not therapy, and it's not designed for people who are currently going through the worst of their trauma. Many of our teachers, including Mel and myself too, have been there, so no judgment at all, but you'll need to be robust for these sessions. So exercise some prudence on whether this is the right time in your journey for engaging with an in-depth discussion about trauma without the guidance of a clinical professional. It's okay to need help. I've needed the guidance of a clinical professional before too. It's totally fine. That's what they're there for. And no matter who you are and where you're at with trauma, definitely don't binge. As you can see in the chat, I put the link in for the replays for those with the all access pass. If you tense up, if you get agitated, if you space out, it's an indicator to breathe and make some kind of shift. So you can always watch later. We recommend gentle movement, good company with people or pets that you trust, and immersion in nature both during and after the session to help resource yourself. So having said all that, I'd like to introduce this session. Folks, we have in our midst some fantastical powers of the body witch, Melissa Gutierrez, who also is known as the fat boy version of Mark Walsh, or like Mark Walsh is a fat boy version of her. Really, she's the OG. Mel's the original gangsta, and Mark Walsh is actually just a fat boy version of her. That's what we decided is his new nickname. I can attest to her sorcery, as I had the chance to take part in a sacred ritual around trauma and guilt just a couple of days ago with her. It was really profound. I was really moved by it. So I recommend checking out the replay if you haven't already. Mel, just a little background on her. Her metal has been forged by childhood violence, toxic relationships, financial insecurity, and harmful type A perfectionism. So she's really been through it, folks. She's now a coach that teaches others how to reclaim their power through movement and witchcraft. She's dedicated to helping people live their dreams and use the magic of their bodies to heal their wounds. Today, Melissa will be talking about trauma and internal chaos, looking at how to finally get your shit together. I'm a hot mess, so I can't wait for this talk. Take it away, Mel. The podium is yours.
Who else here is a hot mess? I always like to acknowledge my hot mess side so that I can make room for my organized side. So yes, and let's not demonize the hot mess. What if we start to frame the conversation already by saying that, like, all we want to do is create a shift in our state of being. Sometimes it's very overwhelming to think about all the internal tumult and chaos and then be like, oh, but I got to get my shit together. And that often looks like an externalized goal. Like, I got to get my shit together and clean up something in the house, or do that thing for my job, or have that conversation, or whatever it is. Like, there's always a desire to get something done. I just saw that Fiona's not getting any sound, so I don't know what that's about, but Shanti looks like she's on it. So thank you for that, Shanti. So here's what I want to know, because we have a short amount of time in which to give what I desire to do is give practical tools for helping you feel like you can shift into a place of getting your shit together, quote unquote. So let's start by identifying what the chaos feels like in our bodies so that you have a baseline about where to shift and create space for yourself. So in the chat, if you can, while I describe to you what my internal chaos feels like and how it shows up in my body, go ahead and put in, it can be like literally a sentence or two about what your chaos feels like, how you maybe look at it in your mind, how it comes up as a visual. Is there a metaphor for it? Is there a sense of it in your being? And when I'm feeling chaotic or overwhelmed, it often comes up as a surprise. Like I'm pretty good at keeping all my ducks in a row. And then, but like the strategy of that works really well until I'm missing some signals that like maybe I'm getting tired, or maybe I'm starting to feel overwhelmed by something. Maybe my own emotions are overwhelming me, but I'm a little numbed out to that because I'm just not paying attention. I'm doing my thing. And when it comes, it feels often like a wave. If anyone's been in the ocean, like you get dashed across the rocks in the ocean, or it can just feel like this really internal sense of almost like an energy that's not mine coming up and then getting almost choking like here. Because that looks like some people resonate with that, like, you know, that's one way the chaos can show up. Another way is I'll get really aggravated because I start moving too fast. And I feel myself trying to do this thing. And this might sound very specific and odd, but I want to share because I want to see who else feels this way. I'll start moving from like one room to another to get things done before like my next appointment. And I start going like, oh, wait, and then I can't like complete the full action. And there's like this weird part. I'm so glad people are like, oh yeah, that thing. And I've come to recognize from other teachers, thankfully, who have pointed, and myself, where I'm like, is this weird? Am I crazy? Am I the only one who does that? Where like, I can't complete a full action. And what often will precipitate that is doing too much multitasking. Like doing too many things at once and having the most efficient plan about how I'm going to get to the bedroom, to get the slippers, to come back to the living room. Like my house is huge and I live in a mansion. Like I can't go to the bedroom twice, God forbid. But like I start mapping things out and then I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, pause. The shit's happening. That's an indicator of like a really externalized indicator of, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed. My energy is kind of running away from me and I'm getting a little chaotic. Like there, and you know, notice that I'm trying to use really gentle language because in the past I might have said really harsh things like, get it together, Melissa. Come on, get that shit together. What the fuck is wrong with Luke? And then I'm like, well, okay, I want to find a place where I can shift. So gentle is often an easier place to shift because I don't want to use self-talk that puts me in a braced place. And then I feel overwhelmed more, like I'm constricted. So I just kind of like, hey, what's going on, buddy? You know, like trying to use that self-talk. So I just want to look at the chat real quick because people are doing an amazing job of contributing. Let's see. Some people turn to stone, get rigid. That's that brace. This is what this is how some chaos comes up for people. The wave is a good metaphor. Eyes, head hurt, breath tense, irritable. Oh my God, the irritability, right? Yeah. And notice something my body was telling me, I'm tired, but my mind said, yeah, Ilana, I love that when you're like, my body's telling me I'm tired, but my mind says, just keep going. Ooh, type A personalities in the house. We got people numbing out with their productivity in the house. Like I know all about that. Yes. A vortex. Oh, I love this. Of dust energy is running through my brain, heart, and or stomach. Isn't that fascinating how we often will point out these three major areas of sensing: head, heart, and gut? And that's because they are, I'm going to use language that I like for this. They're processing centers. They're some of our main processing centers. And when I feel that there's a dissonance between those three places, and you can think of that physiologically, you can be very scientific about it, or you can think about it energetically and think of your chakras and how your energy is running through those places. But when there's a dissonance and a dysfunction, that's a good time to just a gentle pause, so that you can work on getting yourself back to a grounded place and getting that energy to flow, or just getting those feelings a chance to process and move out, so that you can find space internally again. Can't complete that full action, having a hard time doing anything at all when I have to do too much, right? You just shut down. You're like, I got all that shit to do. Some people go the other way. I have way too much shit to do, so I'm gonna do nothing. Because it's a freeze, it's almost like a freeze response, right? Like you're so overwhelmed, and then you're like, fuck. I totally get that. I can't figure out what to wear. Yep. There's like these little tells we all have. Easy tasks start feeling really impossible. Yep. I really love playing the game of not answering back an email or a text, and then letting that trail with me for days and overwhelm me later, when it could have just been like a one-liner. Like that's, I don't know, that weird game my brain plays. Shut down in deep sadness, overthinking, repeat the similar act. Oh, yep. Repetition. My body, especially neck and below the back, feel like a string tighten. Compulsive. Oh, right. Then that energy gets, it's like it's moving ahead of you and you're no longer in control of it. So only because of time. Oh, there's my girl, Tammy Lee. It's a rafting trip heading into the heart of Hell's Gate, which is scary. Sounds terrifying. Never been rafting. I'm a city girl, so that there are other things I like to do to scare myself. Walk through Central Park after dark. No, don't do that. Yeah, I get that. Can't fit. Okay, so we're all kind of on the same page, right? We're all getting it, that it shows up pretty similarly. It's very helpful to identify what's happening so that you can recognize it and know how to handle it. And this is the hard part. When there's so much momentum running through you, that energy, and outside of you, and you can feel it, it's difficult to stop it, right? That's the hardest part. It's like, if I could just get it together, I can do this. I got it. I don't have time. I have to. And then it's like, that's an illusion. That's really where we can fuck things up. That is not a place to work from effectively. Now, if you're in an emergency, a life or death situation, and you got to be like this, okay, yeah, sure. There is a certain time when that mechanism of like having, in Spanish, we call it prisa, an urgency, makes sense. But even in those moments, having a strategic approach, or having a clear approach, is a way to funnel that urgency and that intense energy into something direct. What we're talking about is just chaos, right? So that's really it. It's either going to be entropy, right? Chaos and entropy, where that energy contributes to that, or you're able to take that energy and you feel it, and then you can direct it into something and go there. And so that's what we're here to do. That's the internal shift I'm talking about. And it's one way to handle it. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the messages. Definitely, you are not alone, people. We are all in it. Wouldn't that be magical? Yes, it would be so magical to take a hold of your energy and move it into something. Okay, so that's what we're here for. Let's do that. How do we do that? Give me a couple examples of how you would do that. Now, I'm going to talk while people put in the chat, but one of the ways I've learned to be most effective when I'm feeling what we just described is to instantly go still. And I don't mean a deep meditative stillness. That's not necessarily possible when you're in such a frenzy. I'm just talking about taking a pause. I will put down whatever's in my hands, and then I immediately go to my breathing. And I'm like, and I'll do that a couple of times. The rule for me, and this is just a rule that a framework, a guideline you can work with is, and you can adapt it for yourself. So the first tool, practical app tool. Can I take 3 deep, uninterrupted breaths? Full diaphragmatic expression. So if I'm about to eat a meal in the middle of my workday, and I'm like, and I can feel that I can't totally swallow, or I'm starting to get a little bit of burpiness or indigestion, that's another indicator that that energy is kind of taking over and I'm not directing it well, and I need to direct my energy into my physical body. And I can see other people being like, oh yeah, that's a real thing. I have a rule now where I'm like, put the fork down, step away if you have to, and just breathe. And when I get those 3 full, easy, diaphragmatic expressions, then I have given myself the physiological shift and permission to move forward. That's really how that feels. So I'm starting to look here. Yep, look at that. Look at the instincts. Everybody's got the same instincts. Step back and get quiet and calm, even for just a second. A mental break. Take that pause. And everybody knows this on an instinctual level, right? For the most part, we all kind of like, look, let's just take a moment. Because really, what's the other end of that? If you play that scenario out and you let that energy and you keep contributing to it and it keeps getting out of control, you either mess something up, or if you go with the breath work, you just pass out. So at some point, your body or your activity is going to put the pause for you. You're either going to listen for the pause, or something externally is going to occur. And we all know, right? I'm going to trip and fall and drop the things in my hand. I'm going to break something. I'm going to lose something. I'm going to mess up the email. I'm going to address that email to the wrong person. Fuck, I forgot to answer that text. You're getting external indicators. And then the more dangerous stuff, I would say, are the internal ones, where like you get an injury or you forget to eat, right? You start to lose body signals. That happened to me yesterday and today, where I was like, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to do kettlebells, and then I'm going to fucking go to work, and I'm going to go kill it, and I'm going to crush it. And then my body this morning was like, you're not going anywhere. Like the alarm went off and my body was just like, and I didn't go anywhere because I went, okay. As a practicing witch and embodiment coach, when my body talks to me, and this has taken so long to make the shift, and I have to practice this on a daily basis, I have to listen, and I no longer go, I'm hungry, but if I can just write that last email, then I can go eat. Or my other favorite one, I have to pee. I've had to pee for hours, but I just want to call one more person or do that thing. And that's bullshit. Okay. That's an external, you are internalizing in those moments, the external messaging of you have to be productive and you can't prioritize your own needs. And I know that sounds like a strong message, but that's real. Like you should be able to take a pee, without being like an event. Like go pee, come back. Like, that's it. Like, just go pee and come back. All right, let me see what's going on here. Oh, I didn't take any deep breaths or sigh. Yep, for an entire 90-minute sighs. Sighing is hard. Yawning. Ever have the experience where you can't yawn fully and it's frustrating? Big indicator physiologically that you need to shift. Shanti, I'm so sorry to hear you damage your bladder that way. I have all kinds of digestive issues because this is how my stress comes up. And it can be very serious. If it can have a real physical impact. Take those small breaks. Yeah, I really feel for the healthcare professionals of the world because they're in that scenario I described where they're like, I can't take the break. So it's really, to me, a way to honor people who are actually in those positions to not take on that story where I'm like, because it's hard, right? Because it feels like you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't take the privilege of eating, pausing, or peeing or whatever and take care of your basic needs because other people are doing it, but other people don't have a choice. So don't Don't put yourself in that story. Don't project that story onto yourself. So only because I know we're under time constraints and wow, the momentum of this session went. What I am talking about, and I want to get straight to it, when you're like, get your shit together, there's a process. And that attitude, that fiery, frenetic, come on, and like kind of self-punishing talk only adds to that momentum and that energy. And I've learned this the hard way, okay? Just do the pause. Let's just all practice. Let's just say for the next week, we're gonna take a pause. Sometimes I'll hit a button in my head. I'll go pause. I wait for my 3 breaths, or I step away, or I say, what am I not paying attention to my body? What need is running me in the background that's adding to that chaotic sense of not being able to focus on something? And it'll often be, I need food or water or something basic, like I just need to take a 5-minute walk outside and come right back. You know, whatever's available to you. And then what you've done is that you have taken a hold of that energy and you have created space inside of yourself to then direct it with intention. And that's the magic. You don't have to wait to feel differently to be different. And so many of my clients will be like, I have this vision of myself that's going to be amazing. I'm just waiting till I feel different. And I'm like, well, good luck. Because if you wait for your feelings to change, you are going to be waiting for a long time. And the truth is, and this is where the magic of our bodies comes in, we can use this instrument, this physical instrument, to create a shift and influence our emotions and our mental state. And that's, for people who are like, that's not true. Why don't you go take a run outside, unprepared? Just go run and see how you feel. Is that going to feel good? Maybe, but it's going to have some kind of effect. Oh, do you want to harness the power to slow down space and time? Let's all do a plank right now, or 10 push-ups. Oh shit, time's going to really slow down now, right? Once you start doing something hard, your perception of reality, time shifts. So this is a way for you to understand that you don't have to be at the behest of any internal sense of chaos. You just have to recognize it as data. I really like to not project a story and be like, oh, I'm in chaos. And then I'm like, well, what's actually happening? That's a story, right? And I'm giving it to you fast. I'm trying to save everybody, when they go to therapy, do the advanced work, skip the 101. I'm going to save you thousands of dollars and hours now. Try not to project the story on what you're feeling. Just take it as information. What is this information? What do I need? And how do I want to show up? And that's the process. And then you get to use some tools and go, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to calm down. Oh, okay, now I know what I want to do next. And there is magic and power in being able to write things down. Like when I get overwhelmed internally in my brain, I just start going, let me take a pause and let me brain dump it. Like, get it out of you. Get it out of your body. Take a breath. That's getting it out of your body. Write it down. Get it out of your body. Shake it out. Elon Stefani, who I'm in love with, like I love her now. Shake it out. So use the instrument of your body to shift your internal state so you can create the clarity you want, to find the intention and the focus to drive that energy forward. That's it. It's very simple. It's not easy, but it's practice. And if you just kind of like stick to your own little, that's a guideline. And then you start to find your own framework and how you're like, oh, I know. And then there's little rituals that you come up with. Like there's a song when I'm really tired and I don't feel like teaching a class. There's some power songs I use to get into like body witch mode, right? Like, or a yoga mode, or I'm a personal trainer also. So I have to be like, bring a certain energy. I don't have to do everything my clients are doing, but I have to bring focus. They're looking to me to lead and bring focus. I can't do that if I'm in the chaos. I can fake it for a little bit, but it starts to fall apart. So I'm going to stop there because this is a lot. And I haven't been able to read everything in the chat box. And I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do that. And I feel like I got caught up in my own momentum with that because I was like, I'm going to shove as much information into this session as I can. But I'm going to let Shanti take over because I know it's her time and she has to. So I'm going to look through all this and I'll stay on afterward like we have been to answer any questions. Practical app, I want you to be able to use these tools. So thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mel. That was fabulous. And I know it's touched a lot of people because I'm just seeing all the engagement in the chat. I can see it's really resonating with a lot of folks. And I'd like to invite, actually, why don't we, why don't we put what Mel has taught us here into practice for a second, and take that pause, yeah? Let's all take that pause, grab a sheet of paper and a pencil, take 3 deep breaths, and tune into what your body is needing right now. And then I want you to write that thing down. That's what, as soon as you turn off this Zoom session, that's the thing that you're gonna go and do. So let's do that, and maybe you're gonna want to do that, Mel's idea of putting on that like power anthem or whatever it is and shaking it out if you have to, but let's really take that pause. I'm gonna put my mic on for a second and give you just a little bit of silence to take that pause, okay? Okay, wherever you are, just gently start to wrap up. And remember that you can come back to this anywhere at any time, whether that's on a train or a bus or in your shower or on the toilet seat. You can always do that. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of a wrap up now, but I just want to invite you to, you don't have to sit there for my wrap up. You don't have to sit there with your body straight looking at the screen. You can move around and kind of do whatever your body's telling you as I kind of go through the links and kind of the housekeeping items, okay? So I'm going to throw some links for you into the chat. Many of you have seen these already, so I'll give you a quick little tour of what they are. The first is just a link to this this summit. So if there's anybody in your life who still maybe wants to sign up for this and watch the replays, or I know it's ending today, but if for the next couple of days, the replays will still be available if they'd like to watch. If you'd like to learn more about the Trauma is Your Superpower course, that's the second link. And again, Mel is one of the teachers. So, and many of the other speakers that have been here during the talk series are also the teachers. They're all wonderful, wonderful educators: Ilan Stefani, Mel Gutierrez, Mark Walsh, Jane Dancy. I know I'm forgetting people. Daniela Belfo. There's so many. And there's a replay link for the all access passes in the chat as well. That's the third link. And most importantly, if there's any point you need any assistance with anything at all, you can reach out to Agata and her support team at support@embodimentunlimited.com. And I have another cool little tidbit to add for today that's sort of new, which is that we have a giveaway. So for those with the All Access Pass, you can post your favorite session in the Trauma Facebook group. And if you tag Mark and Patricia, that's Mark Walsh and Patricia Aguirre, you have a chance to win a set of the recordings from this week. So, and the winner will be chosen and announced in the group on Wednesday. Each session post tagging Mark and Patricia with a good reason to watch it counts as an entry. So yeah, like off to the races, you know. I really hope to see one of you win this thing. And I just also want to just highlight that, like, if none of this is your cup of tea, you know, working with trauma through embodiment is not your cup of tea, that's totally okay. Different things work for different people, and there are other methods like TRE, EMDR, somatic experiencing, and many more that can also help treat trauma. So I just want you to keep that like hope out there that it's you can try different things, and if one thing's not working for you, there's other options out there. So that's it for now. I thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much, Mel, for all your wisdom. And I hope to see all of you for the next session with Patricia Aguirre on interrupting the vicious cycle of trauma so that you don't pass it on. That's going to be our last live session, and it's going to be in about an hour and a half or so. So really look forward to seeing you there. With that, I'm just going to stop the recording, but for those who are in the room, we'll stay after just a little bit so you can do a little bit of Q&A with Mel, okay? Much love.